A documentary on the life and career of the most dominant pitcher in Major League Baseball history, Nolan Ryan. I grew up in the late 80s and early 90s, and my life at that time revolved around baseball. If I wasn't playing baseball, I was watching baseball. If I wasn't watching baseball, I was reading baseball stats or playing video games or trading baseball cards. During this time, Nolan Ryan was one of the most dominant pitchers in the world, and at that time, he'd been in the major leagues for over 20 years and was over 40 years old. Everyone who watched sports during this era remembers Bo Jackson splitting Nolan Ryan's lip with a ground ball and watching him finish the game with a bloody lip and blood-soaked jersey. And everyone remembers the famous fight on the mound with Ventura. But there is so much more to Nolan Ryan than those two late career incidents. When Ryan started playing professional baseball in the late 1960s, no one expected him to play as long as he did. No one expected him to be as dominant as he was. No one expected him to strike out as many people as he did. He was just a teenager with a rocket for an arm. In fact, some people believe that Nolan Ryan has the fastest fastball that has ever been thrown. In his early career, there were no radar guns, so no one knows exactly how fast he could throw. When he was in his mid-40s, he could still throw 98 miles an hour. In reverse engineering the early radar guns, it's suspected that he could throw as fast as 109 miles an hour, which is faster than anyone in the modern era has thrown a baseball. Much like Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn from the movie Major League, a lot of Ryan's intimidation comes from the fact that he wasn't a particularly accurate pitcher. The batters who faced him were always on edge and unable to relax because they never knew if that 100-mile-an-hour fastball would come in right over the plate or come in right at their head. People say the hardest thing to do in professional sports is to hit a baseball thrown by a major league pitcher. Add in the fear of getting hit with that ball by a wild pitch, it becomes even harder. Nolan Ryan is in the same category as Bo Jackson. Their careers are sprinkled with unbelievable legends that just don't seem possible. But there's enough video footage of them performing unbelievable feats that some of those legends that are not captured on film actually seem believable. Nolan Ryan is an interesting man. He grew up in a small town, he married his high school sweetheart, had 3 kids, asked to be traded to a team closer to home so he could be closer to his family. He operated a cattle ranch in the off-season, had 0 scandals, and he never had an ego. He was just a good old boy who took his job seriously. He has this John Wayne cowboy quality to him where he is just quiet and stoic, and he lets his actions speak for themselves. I loved seeing the dozens of Hall of Fame athletes talk about Nolan Ryan and how dominant that he was. Many of the greatest hitters of all time were nervous every time that they faced Nolan Ryan. Possibly the best part of the documentary, though, is seeing how impactful his wife was on his career. Seeing his kids talk about their dad and seeing interactions with a mid-70s-year-old Nolan Ryan with his grandkids. Nolan Ryan is one of a kind on and off the diamond. Even though he is in his twilight years and walking a bit slower than he used to, I'm still convinced if he wanted to, he could come back to the major leagues, strike out 286 more batters, and hit 6,000 career strikeouts. The fact that the number 2 all-time strikeout leader in Major League Baseball, Randy Johnson, is about 1,000 strikeouts behind Nolan Ryan is a testament to just how dominant he was. His strikeout record will never be broken. No player will ever play 27 years in the major leagues again, and no one will come close to throwing 7 no-hitters again. If there wasn't footage of some of these feats, they wouldn't seem possible. Facing Nolan is up there with Bo Jackson's 30 for 30 as one of the best sports documentaries of all time. You do not need to be a fan of baseball to enjoy learning about this absolute legend of a man. Getting older. Pitching with a bloody face and shirt. Putting Ventura in a headlock. Still being married to your high school sweetheart. Still throwing heat in your 70s.